Over the past several weeks, we've been diving deep into some of the topics I've covered in my Self-Publishing with Dale series, and now we're starting to head out into the weeds. In fact, we're hitting the portion of my books that isn't available on the market, so you're actually going to get some insights into the upcoming publications, and today is going to be no exception. In fact, this is going to be your ultimate guide to going wide, how to sell your books beyond Amazon. So make sure that you stay tuned to today's podcast. And of course, we got to pay those bills, those pesky little things that come in the mail. What's the deal with that? This podcast is sponsored by the fine folks over at Book Award Pro. For the past few years, I've leaned on Book Award Pro for curating the best opportunities for awards that perfectly match my books. Rather than spend countless hours researching the best marketing opportunities, I have Book Award Pro handle it for me. Now, regardless of the 3 plans you choose, Book Award Pro cuts down your research time and provides you an incredible service so you can focus on what you do best. Write your next book, of course. Now, to get more details about one of my preferred book marketing tools in Book Award Pro, visit my affiliate link at dalelinks.com/bookawardpro. And for a limited time till January 31st, 2025, you can get 25% off your first month with Book Award Pro if you use the link dalelinks.com/bookawarddeal today. All right, so I should have said that all Book Award deal. You're going to get a hold of that one today. Don't put today at the end of the thing. Gosh, that made a lot of sense. I'm Ron Burgundy. I just read whatever's on the teleprompter. All right, let's go ahead and transition over to wide publishing, talking just a little bit about it. You've heard wide publishing possibly being tossed around on a number of things, and I'm sure it's no surprise that you might know something, you might not know something. But let me make it super simple. When it comes to wide publishing, it's usually thought of as publishing ebooks beyond Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing, because for the large part, a lot of authors are usually entering into the Amazon KDP as their first place to go. And they typically are enrolling their ebook into KDP Select because there are certain promotional perks and marketing advantages that you have in having an ebook enrolled in KDP Select. Now, it can treat you really well. If you're the type of author that you are doing really well with your ebooks through KDP Select, don't listen to me. Continue to do that. Now, I would recommend, though, think about expanding beyond where you have your print books and your audiobooks. In the event that KDP Select is not taking care of you like you would like it to, then wide publishing might be your option. Is it for everybody? No, because it does require a lot more work up front. Just letting you know. But let me go ahead and summarize this. Now, wide publishing can mean getting your book in all its iterations distributed through multiple platforms. Again, this includes ebooks, print books, and audiobooks. Now, as the 6th book in the Self-Publishing with Dale series, Wide Publishing for Authors breaks all those avenues down so you can make an informed decision moving forward. I'll give you more details about how you can get advance access to my upcoming book at the end of this podcast, because, boy, there's going to be a lot of moving parts on this. And I'm going to probably plow through some of the stuff and you're going to go, okay, but what about this? But what about that? That's what I pretty much cover inside the book. Now, let's go ahead and let's break down the options for publishing wide and each one of the iterations that we can kind of think of. Now, let's start out with publishing ebooks wide. Now, just so you know, I'm going to give you some options here. This is not like the be-all, end-all checklist of things. If you find one avenue that you like to do, go for it. For instance, I'm not going to mention Ingram Spark for ebook distribution only because I don't like them for ebook distribution. I like them for print distribution. And see, that's a matter of preference because I know some folks that would rather go with Ingram Spark to distribute their ebooks. So do all your research ahead of time and don't just take this bald idiot's idea of how you should publish your books wide. So I shouldn't call myself an idiot. I do know a little bit since I've been in this business for a decade now. So let's transition over to ebooks. Now, naturally, we're going to hit Amazon KDP. If you're going to go wide, though, make sure that your ebook is not enrolled in the KDP Select program. Now, remember, the KDP Select program only affects the enrolled ebook. It does not affect the print book iteration or the audiobook iteration. Does not touch that. And I think that's the biggest misunderstanding in the indie author community. A lot of people think if they enroll their ebook in KDP Select that they can't take the print book and audiobook versions elsewhere. You can. So If you are wanting to get out of the KDP Select program to go wide, remember you must fulfill your 90-day agreement. So that would be inside your dashboard. You're just going to need to make sure that you go over, find out what the end date for that 90-day agreement is, and also make sure that you deselect the auto enroll, because otherwise it's just going to keep enrolling you. Now, as a worst case scenario, I wouldn't recommend this. You can reach out to KDP support and tell them to remove your ebook from distribution completely, and they will pull it out of the KDP Select program. Now, I would not recommend it because it just almost makes sense for you to just ride it out. Now, keep in mind that you're getting paid anywhere from 35% or 70% royalty based on your pricing. Of course, if you're pricing $2.99 to $9.99, that's going to be a 70% royalty. Anything outside of that, it's going to be a 35% royalty. I should add, though, and I don't say this often enough, is the 70% royalty comes along with the delivery fees, and this can be a small amount, anywhere from like a couple pennies to even more if you have a very dense ebook. So just kind of keep that in mind. All right. Apple Books for Authors is the next stop. Now, I've talked about Apple Books for Authors a number of times before, and let me just go ahead and keep it simple here for you. There is 70% royalty, and it's not bad considering that, there is no restrictions on your pricing. Now, as I'm going through each one of these avenues, I would recommend that you just go over and open up these different avenues. I don't have the link to them inside the show notes, but I'm sure you could probably do a little bit of Google search and you'll find what you need, though. Next avenue, Barnes & Noble Press. They offer a 70% royalty. However, the distribution is rather limited. In fact, of all the options we have on this list, it only has distribution to the US. Yeah, so there's that problem. But if you've got nothing but US readers, that might actually work out in your favor. Kobo Writing Life is the next avenue to explore. They give you a 70% royalty and also options to distribute through their Kobo Plus program and Overdrive. Now let's hit Kobo Plus first. Kobo Plus is essentially like Kindle Unlimited or KDP Select in that you enroll your book into a subscription-based service and you're paid about it's like a fraction of a cent based on listening time. And I'll probably say this again here later on because it does involve not just ebooks, but also audiobooks. But the Kobo Plus program does not require exclusivity. You do not have to be exclusive in order to enroll inside their program. Now, Overdrive is the library distribution that they have available through Kobo Writing Life. Now, they reach like tens of thousands of different libraries and institutions like that. The big issue is you can't publish direct to Overdrive. In most instances, you have to go through platforms like, say, Draft to Digital, or maybe even like a StreetLib or a Publish Drive. And the issue is those platforms are going to take their pound of flesh. So you're going to want to make sure that you go direct to the source. And one of the greatest ways to go direct to the source is actually through Kobo Writing Life, because they actually were sister companies at one point or another. Now, I don't think that is the case anymore since Overdrive was sold, but they still have this partnership and agreement put in place. That essentially you're getting a far better royalty by going through Kobo Writing Life. And Kobo Writing Life doesn't take any percentage of your earnings through Overdrive. All right, so let's see here. The next thing that you should know with Overdrive is actually your price. They recommend, and this is they being industry-wide, that you charge 2 to 3 times the retail price for Overdrive because it is going to be checked out numerous times at a library, just as a heads up. All right, next avenue to explore is going to be Draft to Digital. Now, if there are any of the options you used previously, whether it's Apple Books for Authors, Kobo Writing Life, Barnes & Noble Press, or KDP, you're going to want to make sure you deselect those through Draft to Digital. Now, Draft to Digital, it's a little more complex when explaining the royalty structure because, first of all, they're an aggregate publishing platform, meaning that they have arranged a set royalty for every avenue that they're going through. So the places like Apple, Kobo, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and so on and so forth. So they've made arrangements with them in that royalty. So beyond that royalty, though, Draft to Digital is still going to take a percentage of every sale. In fact, they're going to take 10% of the retail price of your book. So if your book is $9.99, regardless of, how much it sells for or whatever, you're still going to be getting 99 cents pulled out of that. going directly over to Drafted Digital. Actually, it'd probably round up to an even buck. But just kind of bear that in mind. It's 10% of retail price on the book. And it's something I've misspoken about in the past. And I want to kind of clear that one up. So it's a little different policy with other platforms, but it's actually pretty good still nonetheless. Next avenue to explore is going to be Google Play Books Partner Center. You're going to want to make sure you look up Google Play Books Partner Center, not just Google Play Books, because if you just search up Google Play Books, it's going to give you the Google Play Bookstore, and that's not what you want. You want the Partner Center, where you can get 70% royalty for your ebooks. They also happen to distribute audiobooks. More about them later on here. Like Google Play Books, they've got a pretty good, clean dashboard, easy to follow along with. Just keep in mind that if you ever publish something through it, give it about a day or two for it to process, because otherwise when you go in, it says it's incomplete. It's complete. As long as you hit the publish, you're set to go. Another avenue to look into is going to be Lulu.com. Now, the only reason why I'm going to bring up Lulu is for the Lulu bookstore, where you will get 90% of your royalties. Now, if you were to do distribution through Lulu with ebooks, you're going to run into the issue of hitting Ingram. And again, that's going to hit that big wide area. I like to hit Lulu for the Lulu bookstore because there is a little bit of organic traffic, and from time to time, Lulu actually has spotlighted some of their authors and driven more sales for them. So it doesn't hurt to go ahead and put it on there if it just takes you more than like 5-10 minutes. It's really not that much of an issue. Now, have I seen massive results from Lulu? Not by any stretch, but again, it doesn't hurt. And another avenue to consider is PayHip, which is great for direct sales. Now, PayHip actually has 3 different tiers with them, and I've covered them in the past. But generally speaking, their free account, it's going to be a 5% fee for each one of the sales that you make of your ebooks. Plus, you have to account for the payment processing fees, which is about 2.9% plus another 49-cent per transaction fee. So it's just kind of something to think of. Another place to look into as well, this is relatively new for me over the last couple of years, is Letterpress. Now, they will give you a 100% royalty, plus you have to subtract all the payment processing fees. Again, 2.9% plus 49 cents transaction fee. I was going to say 0.49 cents. That would be incredible if it was. The only exception is if Letterpress refers a sale for you, they will give you 90%, meaning they're going to take 10% for any referrals. And in the event that an author refers somebody over to you, that author is going to get 5%, and then Letterpress is going to get 10%, leaving you with 85% royalty, which is really good. I mean, it's better than the other platforms altogether. All right, so we're moving really, really quick. I know it's a lot of options, and you're probably going to have to go back and listen to this podcast again just to write down some of these options, but rest assured, it is definitely worth looking into. All right, let's go ahead and talk about print books. We're going to start out with Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing because they get 60% minus print fees and are the best direct option for publishing onto the Amazon platform. I would recommend that you avoid expanded distribution. Now, in the event that you say, Dale, I don't care about the rest of the print options, I just want KDP, you could always enable expanded distribution if you want. The problem is you're going to be losing an additional 20% minus the print fees as well. So you're only getting 40% for the expanded distribution through KDP. If you go to other options, places like Ingram Spark or Drafted Digital or even Blurb, the royalty is going to be better. So that's why I remove expanded distribution, not to mention the fact that hardcover books do not have expanded distribution on KDP. So you might be able to do expanded distribution for your paperback books, but you won't be able to do it right now for hardcover. Now, will that be open in the near future? I don't have any insights or intel on that one, but one would assume that it's going to eventually come, I'm sure. The next option I go for is Ingram Spark. They have the widest array of print option as well as the widest reach because they're, well, it's their parent company. Ingram Book Group distributes for them to over 40,000 different retailers and online people and bookstores and whatnot. It's a lot. And you will get a royalty of about 45% to 60%, minus, of course, the print fees and a 1% distribution fee. Now, they added some of these things more recently, like the 1% distribution fee instead of the upload fee that they used to have, or the publishing fee. And they used to have one that was like $50. Now they have the update one. More about that here in just a second. Now, how you set up your royalties, this is important. You actually are responsible for what you're going to do for a wholesale discount. This is going to be something that the more that you drop the percentage, the more enticing you are to retailers to stock your book with them, because that means that they're going to be making some more money. So naturally, they're going to want to give you a shot. Now, that wholesale discount, again, can range anywhere from, I think it's like 35% to as much as 55% for the wholesale fee. Now, I usually put mine at 55%, so that way it increases likelihood of the distribution, but that is completely up to you. If you don't care and you just want to leverage that avenue and just be available through the Ingram Book Group catalog, then go ahead, keep it that wholesale discount as low as possible, because you're going to get a little bit more in the long term. Now, fair warning, if you need to do any updates of a publication through Ingram Spark, you need to do it at least within the first 60 days after publishing, because otherwise they charge you a $25 fee. Now, keep an eye out for codes online anywhere, or become a member of the Alliance of Independent Authors. I'm a huge fan of them. dalelinks.com/ally, ALLI, by the way. You can get more details about them, and they give you, I believe, one update fee waived per month for Ingram Spark. Now, that's not going to last forever. They actually used to have unlimited codes, and they went down to 5 codes, and now it's down to just 1 code per month. So there is that. Now, in the event Ingram Spark just is not doing it for you, you're like, I don't like the platform, the alternative would be Drafted Digital. In my opinion, great company, fantastic. They're leveraging the same reach with Ingram Book Group, but there's no flexibility when it comes to the wholesale discount. You just get a 45% royalty minus any print fees. And just as a heads up, you do have the update fees when it comes to Ingram Spark. Yeah, that's any time the 60 days after from publishing. Now, with Drafted Digital, there's a little different. You get one free update every 90 days. If you have to update more often than that, you actually have to pay for a change token. And oddly enough, you want to know how much it costs? $25. Coincidence? Probably not. That's probably exactly how much that Ingram Spark has to pay in order to fix any of those print versions and variations and such. So it makes sense to me. Now, as the other one to look into, great platforms called Book Vault. They're a UK-based print-on-demand company, and they have a variable royalty rate based on distribution, much like what we did with Ingram Spark. Now, they have the whole similar wholesale discount process as them, so it's just dead simple, just getting into your dashboard and getting all that dialed in. Their greatest royalty comes through the Great British Bookshop, where I believe you can get 80% or 90% royalty. My apologies. I should have fact-checked that before I went live and started recording this. But theirs is really, really good. And if you sell them through PayHip, which I'm going to cover them in just a second, you will just get pretty much 100% of the commission beyond just the print fees. So that means 100% royalty. Boom. It's really good. Again, minus print fees. Now, let's transition over into PayHip. Kind of mentioned them before. They have a 5% processing fee. However, I've been using Book Vault integrated with PayHip, and I've not seen the percentage taken off at all. I'm getting 100% of that. So that's kind of cool, especially since it does integrate with Book Vault. It's just a little bit confusing getting it set up. As soon as you get it set up, though, between Book Vault and PayHip, it's smooth sailing after that. I would recommend that you order like a test proof or something like that through that, so that way you find out how the system works and if there's any type of hiccups or errors. And there are 2 other options you can consider looking into, and that would be Lulu and Blurb. Now, these are 2 different bookstores. Again, kind of as I'd mentioned before, great royalty options through Lulu and Blurb as well. They both have their own bookstores with their own organic search traffic. Something to kind of think about. Is it going to be worthwhile? It's going to be up to you to give that a shot. I kind of like the fact that Lulu does 80% royalty minus print fees. That's really, really good. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about options for wide publishing for audiobooks. Let's start out with Audiobook Creation Exchange, and otherwise known as ACX. Now, if you happen to be distributing through them and you want to go wide, you must be non-exclusive. Now, either A, you publish with it being non-exclusive and there won't be an issue, it's a 25% royalty. Or B, if you select it exclusive, you have to remain at the 40% royalty level, at least for the first 90 days after publishing. The exception to that rule is if you're doing a revenue split. So if you've done a narrator, or if you worked with a narrator through their 50-50 royalty split program, then you cannot remove that from exclusivity. It actually has to remain right there. So I have not had the highest opinion of Audiobook Creation Exchange, but I would be a complete, idiot if I didn't tell you. What's the deal with me calling me an idiot here? My gosh, I need to see a therapist about this. It would be completely remiss for me to not point out the fact that Audible and Amazon have such wide reach. And so that's why some people just focus on exclusivity. But again, much like the KDP Select program, if you find that extra 15% is not netting you a good amount of revenue, then maybe this is time for you to consider going wide. First platform I'm going to recommend, Kobo Writing Life. We already kind of touched about them here earlier with the ebooks. With the audiobooks, you actually have to request that feature through the Kobo Writing Life support. Now, you will get a 45% royalty for any audiobooks you publish that are $2.99 or more. And if it's less than $2.99, it's a 35% royalty. You also get distribution to the Kobo Plus program. Again, it's non-exclusive, and you're paid on minutes listened. So that's kind of nice. Next platform to look into, and this is kind of surprising because they just kind of snuck it out over the last couple of years, is Google Play Books Partner Center. They do audiobooks, and they actually have integrated digital narration within their platform that you can use the audio files, not just on their platform, but on other platforms that will allow for digital narration. Now, do you need to use the digital narration? No. But you will get a 50% or 52% royalty for the sale of each one of your audiobooks, regardless of the digital narration or if you're uploading your own content. Next avenue to hit is Findaway Voices by Spotify. Now, I love me some Findaway Voices. Yeah, they were picked up by Spotify a couple years ago, and they've had some shenanigans happen a couple times over the last year or two. But for the most part, they're still a pretty good, trustworthy, and reliable platform. You get 80% of net royalty. Again, kind of like the whole system of aggregate publisher, where they have an agreement put in place with each one of the retailers, and then you take 80% of that. The one exception to the rule is if you're doing Spotify for distribution through Findaway Voices, it is 50% with no split whatsoever. It's actually probably one of the best audiobook options you have available to you at 50%. There are some that are a little bit better, but those are direct sales options. Now, in the event that Findaway Voices by Spotify doesn't tickle your fancy, you can always look into Authors Republic. Now, I had covered Authors Republic in the past before, and actually come to find that they're actually a pretty good platform to consider. And especially if you are not able to access platforms like Audiobook Creation Exchange, Findaway Voices and Authors Republic are great alternatives. So that way you can be able to get some of the other platforms. Now, I would recommend, the very first thing is, they told me at Authors Republic, they have an either or stance when it comes to Findaway Voices and Authors Republic. You use either one, not both. Not both. However, they do have the option to deselect any of the avenues. You can't do it within your dashboard. You got to reach out to support. Big shout out to one of my viewers that had pointed out to me more recently, I think about a couple months ago. Really neat to kind of know that. So when I reached out to support over at Authors Republic about deselecting avenues and of course the no-fly zone for Findaway Voices, I said, okay, is there anything wrong with me using Findaway Voices in Authors Republic that I just deselect those avenues that are already covered through Findaway Voices? And they were like, we prefer that you wouldn't, but they were like, there's nothing in our terms and conditions that says that you can't. So if you do use both avenues, tread with caution. Make sure that you deselect the avenues ahead of time. You can always go and deselect them through Findaway Voices. That might make it easier. Or you reach out to Authors Republic with that laundry list of selections that Findaway Voices already covers, and then give that to them. Tread with caution on that one. Again, Authors Republic's not too keen on you using both avenues. They're saying either or, but it's not against their terms and conditions. Another avenue to consider is PayHip. However, there comes with a little bit of a catch here. Of course, you have the 5% plus payment processing fees, but When you sell your audiobook through that platform, it's not like it's an audiobook app that people are going to be able to listen to it, meaning that you're going to have to provide them with an MP3 file that they can download and listen to on their normal devices. So there is a little bit of a catch on that. Now, is that a deal breaker? Well, it just lets your audience know inside your description exactly what they're getting, and you shouldn't have any type of issues whatsoever. The alternative, though, when it comes to direct sales, came up more recently through a company called BookFunnel. Now, BookFunnel is a book marketing company very similar to Story Origin, except they actually offer direct sales for ebooks and more recently audiobooks. Now, it comes at a higher premium when you're doing the audiobooks, so you're going to want to make sure you follow it with BookFunnel to find out what works for you. Direct sales, fantastic. I think everybody should have that for all 3 iterations that they can help it. Honorable mentions include places like StreetLib, Shenshi, Audiobooks Unleashed, and Tableau, among others. I could probably do easily like a couple hours talking about wide publishing, but we're going to go ahead and just limit it to those options. Get more details about one of my preferred book marketing tools in Book Award Pro. Visit my affiliate link at dalelinks.com/bookawardpro. And for a limited time till January 31st, 2025, you can get 25% off your first month with Book Award Pro if you use my link, dalelinks.com/bookawarddeal. I didn't add today at the very end of that, so that it's less confusing. All right, my final thoughts. Is wide publishing something every author should do? In my opinion, yes. I think that you should definitely diversify, get it out there. But again, this depends, because if you're an author that's absolutely crushing it on KDP Select, like making $1,000 or more per month there, don't go wide with that ebook. But consider doing it for the print iteration and possibly the audiobook iteration. Same thing applies with your books published through ACX. If being exclusive pays you well, you're getting $1,000 or more per month in sales, and it's doing really, really well, definitely stick with them. But if not, it's time to consider going a little bit more wide. Print distribution, you got a couple other hoops to kind of jump through, but for the most part, it's dead simple. In fact, you can use the same interior and cover file for KDP as what you would for BookVault. Now, it becomes a little bit more problematic, though, when you go to a platform like Ingram Spark. But we'll save that for another day. If you're not getting your worth through any one platform, folks, then consider expanding your reach to other avenues. That could be in ebook, print book, or audiobook. Now, subscribe to my email newsletter to join the Advanced Reader Copy team for wide publishing for authors, where I go to a granular details showing you exactly what you need to be doing for wide publishing. That's going to be coming out in January 2025, and I'll be notifying all of my email subscribers about that when it is ready to be picked up as an advanced reader copy. You can join that over at dalelinks.com/sign up so you don't miss out on the notification. Hey, I want to give you a heads up that I'm going to be taking about 2 weeks off because it's getting at the end of the year, but I will be back on Monday, January the 6th, normal time as usual, for Launch Your Book Like a Bestseller, the exact steps for success. You're going to want to make sure you stay tuned to that. And until then, this has been Self-Publishing with Dale, and I appreciate you tuning in.